Production of natural fabrics based on hemp. Ansarina is going to help Adolfina to pluck the one of flower that remains ready before the one of the seed. This has to be cooked here. This one is already dry, but other times it has been plucked green. When it is here, it is crushed well like this and does not break. A few days later, at the beginning of October, it is time to harvest the seed hemp. Alfredo has gone to help Adolfina and Ansarina in this work, which consists of pulling up the hemp clumps. The pulled bunches are tied in bundles with a knot made with the plant itself. In order for the hemp plants to dry and the seed to be extracted, they must be stacked up in bunches. The birds, which have a special predilection for the seed, are on the lookout. This forces these mountain people to cover the bunches with a hood made of branches. The bunches will be exposed to the sun and rain for about 15 days, until the seed dries and can be detached. The necessary days for the drying of the hemp have already elapsed. Ansarina, Adolfina, and Alfredo return to extract the seeds in each of the 2 plots where they have cultivated the hemp. This work consists of first separating the stalk from the seed and the leaves or husks by beating it and rubbing with their hands. Then the seed has to be separated from the husk by winnowing. For this process, it is necessary that there is a little air, so that the dry leaves are dragged to a different point of the sheet where the seed has fallen by its own weight. To winnow the grain, Ansarina uses at first a wooden basket called a timpan. Once the leaves have been separated, the only thing left to do is to remove the small impurities from the grain with the sieve, and then collect it in a sack for storage in the barn of the house until the next sowing. In order to extract the fiber from the hemp stalk, the people of San Juan must cook it with the humidity of the meadows. There, the stalks will be left spread out on the ground to the action of the weather, the sun, and the rain, which will take care of rotting the stalks. A few days have passed in San Juan de Plan. We are at the end of November. The sun and the autumn rains have had their effect on the hemp harvest, rotting its hard point. Before the first snow of the winter arrives, Ansarina and Josefina collect the hemp stalks soaked by the humidity of the meadows. While Tia Serena takes the donkey up to the village with the harvest, Josefina takes the opportunity to pick up arañones or sloes, which will be needed to provoke the salivation once the thread is made. We are here. In these mountainous areas of the Central Pyrenees, the donkey is the most practical means of transport to carry any kind of load up to the house. And Ansarina knows this means of transport very well, as she has used it all her life. The hemp still carries a lot of moisture from the fields in its stalk. In order to extract the fiber, it needs to be completely dry, and so it will have to be left stored in the house to lose the moisture throughout the winter. The winter has already passed, and any dry and sunny day is propitious to transform the hemp stalks into fiber. The women of San Juan de Plan, helped by Alfredo, gather in the courtyard of one of the houses to grind the hemp. The work of breaking the hemp wood in the crushing machine is the hardest, and Alfredo has come to help the women in this first part of the process. With strong blows on the stalks, the hemp fiber is separated from the shives. Anita takes care of removing the shives that remain in the fiber with the clarifying machine, which has a finer channel than the previous one. Once the fiber has been freed from the shives, Adolfina and Ansarina are in charge of separating it in the rake or rebus. The fine and long fibers that remain between the hands when raking are called brin. They are the best quality and are collected in cierros. The fibers that remain hooked in the comb are called tow fibers and are knotted in the form of a yarn ball. The remains of poorer quality are the burones and are used to make the coarse fabrics for the field. This process of hemp grinding has always been carried out in a family atmosphere that relaxes the hardness and intensity of the work. The result of the effort remains there, in the basket. The fiber is already prepared for the elaboration of the thread. The prignons, or sloes, that Josefina picked in the autumn, today they will have their application to provoke the saliva during the spinning of the hemp. In order for the fibers to bind well together, moisture is needed, and that is why hemp was never spun in the summer. As it was a slow, entertaining, and unprofitable process, this task of spinning was always done by the older women gathered in one of the houses. Meanwhile, the young women could devote their time to the animals and other household chores. At the age of 15, she already began to party with an honest farmer who was a man of goodness. When she tried to get married, she was asked by another handsome man who was a wealthy proxy, and she scorned him. This one was uncomfortable and swore in such a way he would not be married if he did not marry her. The spinning of hemp begins by winding the distaff with the fiber. With the distaff held at their waist, the woman uses one hand to separate the fiber and the other to spin the bobbin, twisting in this way the strands. As it happens in all the meetings that the neighbors of San Juan de Plan make with any excuse, either to work or to have a party, a bowl of broth to lift the spirits cannot be missing. The houses with greater economic capacity gave to do this work to the women of more needy houses, paying them with bread or fleeces of wool. The widows did this work for other houses, in exchange for the work of tilling and weaving that they could not do. By the weight of the yarn, the women of San Juan de Plan calculate when the bobbin is full, and, taking advantage of its conical shape, they remove the fused yarn once it is finished. In order to wash the hemp yarn properly, the women of San Juan collect it in skeins, or maraixas, which are made up of 3 fused yarns each. The device for converting the fused yarn into skeins is called dimure, and the popular tradition compares it to 4 horses going to France. 4 horses go to France. They always run and never catch up. The dimore, which is 4, has 4 parts. Anita and her mother have gone to another house to wash the skeins of hemp in the sink and remove all the remains that have been left between the strands. With a paddle blow, Anita cleans the skeins with the soap she made herself in the winter. Snake pat, and it is poured to lighten the hemp. It becomes a little whiter. It cleans more because this is strong. Aunt Serena has already prepared all the tools and ingredients necessary to do the laundry. The hemp skeins, the ash collected at home, the stinky hellebore or snake pat, the cauldron with hot water, and the roscade. Josefina and Aunt Serena fill the roscade with the hemp skeins, finishing them at the end with a few bunches of snake pat. This one to put the ash on top so that the filter does not get the ash on it and it is clean. This is a sieve. This is a strainer. What happens is that it is called cenice. This is what is going to clean the hemp. This is like a bleach. The ash has to be well evened out, above all, so that the water passes through, so that it passes through to the ash. The straining process lasts 3 hours and consists of pouring the boiling water from the cauldron over the ash. This mixture of water and ash penetrates between the hemp fibers, acting on them. Through a hole in the base of the roscade, the resulting liquid, or lisiva, comes out, which Josefina pours back into the cauldron to boil it again. Then, when it is boiled, it has to be put here. The one that falls here turns here, and so on for 3 hours. Why do you know how much? They are not counted, the hours are not counted. Among other uses, the lisiva was used to wash the color clothes and as a high-quality shampoo for the hair. As this is a very tiring job, Aunt Serena takes over for Josefina. After successive runs of the liquid through the ash and hemp, the lisiva comes out darker and darker, indicating that the process is coming to an end. It has to be this all night long, until tomorrow morning, when the whole thread has to be washed, which is now a matter of rinsing, nothing more. In the mountain, everything is used, and the ash left over from the washing is a good source for the vegetable garden that these women know how to value. The next day, the skeins have already cooled down. Aunt Serena and Josefina take them out of the roscade and then proceed to rinse them. The tumultuous spring waters from the thawing of the high peaks swell the high flow of the Cinqueta. The women of San Juan de Plan go down to the river to rinse the skeins of hemp in its waters. By hitting the skeins with a paddle and rubbing them in the water, they remove the lisiva between the fibers and lighten some of the dark color that has remained in the wash. Adolfina lets the skeins dry on the balcony of her house. We are in late spring and the sun is intense, which will facilitate quick drying. This yarn is very clean. It is very clean, very white. Once the skeins are dry, Josefina, with the winder, turns them into yarn balls to take them to the weaver. Hemp has been one of the raw materials used by the weavers to make fabrics. The women delivered the hemp balls to the weaver so that he could turn them into fabrics, either alone or mixed with linen, cotton, or wool, depending on the garments to be made. This is called brin. It is a man's shirt, and it is the finest of hemp. This is a woman's nightgown, which at that time they also wore nightgowns to sleep in. This is a saddlebag that was worn to carry bread to the mountain. The artificial fibers have replaced natural fibers. Only if we take into account the richness of having a dozen hemp shirts, some sheets, or 2 nightgowns in the outfit, we can appreciate the effort of the mountain dwellers in general, and of the woman in particular. Today, thanks to the collaboration of some neighbors of San Juan de Plan, we can know and value one of the activities that occupied part of their time until a few decades ago.
Hasta hace algunas décadas.